I've been speaking today with my friend and colleague, Melissa Swift, who has issued her new book, Work Here Now, Think Like a Human and Build a Powerhouse Workplace. Now, in the book, you talk about, and I went through the entire book, almost done reading it. You have 90 strategies to improve work. I know it might be hard to pick, like your favorite artist's song, but do you have a couple of favorites that you want to share with our listeners?
It's actually not hard to pick one of them, because there's actually one strategy I liked so much I repeated it twice, which is just do less. And again, that is a countercultural mantra within so many organizations, right? We have built up this layers of people and activities, and we're doing all the things, right? And actually, it doesn't necessarily drive business results, and actually, we're burning people out pretty fast.
Right.
So, doing fewer things better, is a little bit of secret sauce that many organizations have not engaged with meaningfully.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So that is sort of, number one, with a bullet. And then, after that, I think there's a few different strategies that talk about either examining how work gets done in critical jobs, or there's a really simple one about understanding who's in your workforce, which many organizations, when you start thinking about contract workers, et cetera,
Right.
would actually struggle to count the number of people they have and what they pay all of those people and how they pay all of those people. There's some really good basics about just kind of getting back to, if you had physical assets, right? So the ExxonMobil example, you
Right.
would know everything about your oil wells, right? So
Right.
let's get back to knowing a little bit more about our people.
Right. We look at the company's assets, but not and everybody says our people are our most important asset, right? So we should probably live by what we preach. I did want to bring up something that you just posted earlier today on LinkedIn, which to me gave me a good laugh for the day. Something you've identified as the work anxiety monster. What's that all about?
Yeah, so it's that little voice in all of our heads that says, oh, people are lazy, people are slow. And sometimes, it turns on you, right? It says, Melissa, you're lazy, you're slow.
Right.
And what it does is, it distorts the way we get work done. It causes us to over-rotate on activities rather than outcomes. It causes us to manage people in inhuman ways. It causes us to set up jobs wrong. It causes us to set up organizations wrong. If everything you ever do just sets up people to work faster and faster and faster, I give the example in the book of the I Love Lucy, that episode where they're working, on they're packing candy in the candy factory, right?
Right.
The one. And the assembly line is moving too fast and they're stuffing candy in their mouth. And what I love about that is the outcome is they stuff all this candy in their shirts and their mouths, and their boss is like, okay, great job. And she turns the assembly line up faster. That's how the scene ends.
Well,
and that's what the work anxiety monster makes us do. We keep turning the assembly line up faster. But, if you notice that the business outcomes weren't being achieved, the chocolates weren't getting into boxes, right? They were in Lucy's mouth.
Right.
So it's a perfect example of why the anxiety monster really distorts our business outcomes.
Yeah. And certainly during COVID, with so many positions being lost, even now, the tech industry is laying off lots of workers. I mean, we're back to that old, phenomena of doing more with less. And even without the disengagement and all these issues, that's still a major challenge, is how do you get your job done with fewer people and fewer, perhaps hours in the day to do it?
Absolutely. And by the way, that is literally the technical definition of work intensification. Doing more with less.
Yeah.
And, that is an interesting and sort of, it's scary how easily it rears its ugly head.
Yeah.
But I think the tech layoffs are interesting, because part of what goes on, I think, sometimes when we see these massive sort of expansions and contractions in workforces, is that organizations were not thoughtful on the front end about what was really the work they needed to get done, and then how to put human workers up against it. So that's the go forward guidance, I think, for organizations, is to think more.
There you go. There you go. I wanted to end on an issue that is important to all of us who are in higher education, and certainly employability factors within the workplace. We have a very exciting and growing MBA program and bachelor's business program. You've been with some major companies. You've, climbed several rungs at a time to get, close to the very, very top. I know there's going to be more that we're going to hear from you over the next years. What kind of job advice do you have for today's business student about careers, job satisfaction?
Yeah, I would say before you take a job, really dig into the day-to-day reality of doing that job. I know that sounds silly, but a lot of times, we get very hung up on brand names or, company types. I'm going to work for a startup, right? And some people are going to love that environment and be energized by it. But other folks, early in career or at, different career points may be more energized by what day-to-day work actually looks like in a larger, more complex organization, because they may want, training programs or to enter with a class. So there's a lot of people of your own age, or you may want mentorship from people who are really far along in their career. So really thinking about kind of your needs, and then not the shiny objects or the brand names one way or the other, right? In startup space and established company space, what have you, but really getting some clarity on what is my working day going to be like. That to me is the best advice I can give, because if you're energized by that working day, you're going to make the career progress you want, guarantee it.
And certainly you have to show that enthusiasm, right, for that job.
Yeah.
It's not about, and this has sort of been an age-old phenomenon too. It's not really about the job itself. It's what can you bring to the job? How can you make that organization more successful than it already is?
Absolutely. And look, things are changing fast. I mean, ChatGPT is going to take a major chunk of entry-level jobs over the next few years of the work, right? Not the jobs, but the work.
Right.
So if you're not energized and enthusiastic already, all of that change is going to hit you pretty hard.
Exactly. I've been speaking today with Melissa Swift, the author of her latest book, Work Here Now, Think Like a Human, and Build a Powerhouse Workplace. Melissa, great to catch up with you. Many more years of success, and we can't wait to hear more about what's in store for you in the years ahead. Thank you for joining us today on our podcast.
Thanks so much. I had a blast.
Thanks.